Welcome to the Liberating River, where spiritual freedom meets soul aligned wealth. I'm Wanda.
What if your expansion is not a threat to your spirituality? What if becoming more fully yourself is part of the spiritual path? The truth is, it is. It is. And ooh, 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 I know these are not small questions. I know what I just shared with you is a lot to chew on. But the truth of the matter is, God did not ask us to shrink. We have been taught to shrink and taught not to ask questions and taught not to have a brain that sometimes we feel bad. Like, like we can't go there. Like, let me leave that alone. I'm going to say inevitably, shrinking tells us this. It tells us suffering is proof of goodness. Poverty is purity. Exhaustion is service. Silence is submission. Self neglect is love. Garbage. Garbage. All of that is garbage. Your wholeness does not offend God. God wants us to be whole and free and living in freedom. I do not believe your healing dishonors the sacred. I do not believe your financial growth makes you less spiritual. I do not believe your voice is dangerous because it is powerful. We were made to have powerful voices. I do not believe your questions make you faithless. Absolutely not. I believe, I'm going to say this again. I believe there is a kind of freedom that requires us to stop confusing human control with divine authority. And that means we must examine the boxes we inherited in the name of faith, in the name of God, not to destroy our spirituality, but to purify it, to mature it, to make it honest, to make it livable, to make it spacious enough for you and God to dwell together in, and to allow you to become who you are becoming. Okay, here is another major expectation: gender. Gender. From the time we are young, the world starts handing us instructions on our identity and inevitably our gender. You know, how to be a girl, how to be a boy, how to be a woman, how to be a man, how to be desirable, how to be respectable, how to be strong, how to be soft, how to be ambitious, how to be modest. We're taught that. We're given instructions. And those messages may come from, family, religion, culture, media, school, community, or even relationships. They may be spoken directly or indirectly. They may be communicated through praise and punishment. A girl may learn that she is valued when she is helpful, pretty, quiet, agreeable, responsible, emotionally available, and not too demanding. A boy may learn that he is valued when he is tough, protective, unemotional, dominant, and never vulnerable. A girl or a woman may learn that her value is tied to being a caretaker in her appearance, in sacrificing, in her relationship status, in being a mother, or how well she can support everyone else. A man, a boy may learn his value is based on income, control, performance, emotional restraint, and never needing help. And again, these boxes may not affect everyone. I get that, I understand that. And maybe it does, but not in the same way. But the common thread is this, I promise you that the world often gives people a script before it gives them permission to know themselves. The world dictates what you should be doing before you even know who you are. And when you are handed a script early enough, it defines your identity. You may think, this is who I am. But sometimes it is not who you are. Sometimes it is who you were trained to be in order to be accepted. That right there is very different. And gender expectations shape everything. It shapes how we relate to money, how we relate to work, how we relate to love, how we relate to power, how we relate to even resting our bodies, how we relate to anger, how we relate to desire, to leadership, and of course, to our own bodies. Think about it. Women have been taught to be financially responsible, but not financially powerful. I'm going to say that again. We have been taught to be financially responsible, but not financially powerful. What do I mean? We have been taught to manage the household, stretch the money, make things work, budget carefully, budget and sacrifice, but do it quietly. Think about that. And the truth of the matter is, the woman may not have been taught how to build wealth, how to negotiate, how to invest, how to own, how to lead, or desire financial expansion. Some people, they are not able to have their own thought. So they become they become excellent in survival mode, in survival stewardship, but underdeveloped in wealth identity. That is a box. Some men are taught to provide, but not process. Think about it. They are taught to earn, but not express. They are taught to solve, but not feel. They are taught to be strong, but not supportive. So they may build careers and they might have a family and they might gain statuses, all while carrying emotional isolation that no one taught them how to name and deal with. That is a box. Some people are taught that softness is weakness, that ambition is unattractive, that confidence is arrogance, that vulnerability is danger, that rest must be earned through self sacrifice and exhaustion. Or maybe you don't rest at all. Some are taught that their body exists for approval, performance, or service rather than presence, wisdom, and ownership. And then we wonder why so many people feel disconnected from themselves. It is because they have been performing using a version of identity that was never theirs. That performance may have helped them belong, sure. But the truth of the matter is, at what cost? Because maybe it's been killing them on the inside. It may have helped them survive, but but maybe at the cost of burnout. It may have helped them be praised, but again, at what cost? Usually at the cost of authenticity. And at some point, the question becomes, who am I without the performance? Who am I if I am not trying to be acceptable? Who am I if I am not trying to be desirable? Who am I if I am not trying to be strong in the way I was taught strength must look like? Who am I if I allow myself to be both soft and powerful? Who am I if I allow myself to be both nurturing and ambitious? Who am I? Who am I if I allow myself to be both responsible and free? Who am I? Who am I if I allow myself to be complex? Because all of them are truths. They are truths. We are complex. We are not lineal. We are not. We are not one note beings. We are not flat. We don't have flat characteristics. We don't have a flat character. We are not just roles. We are not just a title. We use gender as the entry point to defining our identity. That's what I've noticed. But gender has absolutely nothing to do with your identity. Your identity is your core being. Your identity is the substance of who you are. And any identity that requires you to cut off whole parts of yourself in order to be accepted is too small for your spirit. Let that land. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. Definitely going to say this. You cannot keep cutting pieces of yourself away and call that alignment. You cannot keep silencing your truth and call that peace. You cannot keep shrinking your gifts and call that humility. You cannot keep dismissing your needs and call that love. At some point, the box has to be renamed. And once it is named, you can decide whether it still belongs to you. And I will go here. It is amazing. It is amazing. We judge people by using the shell and not the personality or the characteristics of the person. Did you hear me? Or maybe you don't understand. What do I mean? Our flesh is not who we are. Our flesh is not who we are. Remember, we are spiritual beings. We are spirit beings. Spirits have no gender. God has no gender. Spiritual beings are entities, energy. They are not male or female. The problem is our brains cannot handle that concept. So what do? We label everything to contain and make sense of things. That's why we call God a he. But if God is a spirit and no one has ever seen God, how do you know? You don't. God is a spirit. We took this form in the flesh, but this form is not who we are. Remember, we was made in his image and likeness. We are spirits. This flesh is a casing that allows us to live on this planet. So no, your physical form, that which you are within is not your identity. Is not. Your identity is not external. It is the core inside of you. Stay tuned. To be continued. Coming next week.